This video covers my first time experience using a tarp and my new wood stove build. Here I have my tent and stove set up in the backyard in a dry run. I can't get the tension I want hooked to a trampoline and swing set like I can get between two trees using a ratchet strap, but that's okay. I'm using rebar for the stakes. And one thing to note is that you don't need to buy a fancy stove jack made out of fiberglass infused silicone. You can go down to Goodwill and get some stainless steel baking pans or something, and you can bolt that on the tarp and use Gorilla Tape to seal off the edges. So here's the tent all set up at the campsite. I drilled out some pieces of wood to place over the rebar so I wouldn't impale myself if I tripped. The rope, it was some cheap rope from Harbor Freight, and it ended up stretching, so I couldn't really get the tension on it I wanted, but that's alright, it worked out. For the ends of this tent I used cheap plastic drop cloth, and I reinforced the edges with duct tape, and I zip tied those to the little eye holes in the tarp. Unfortunately the door wouldn't close all the way. Here we are inside. I have a steak cooking on the stove top, wrapped in foil there. And here I have a box of the cut up pallet wood, which burns a lot hotter and faster than the pieces of maple that I brought along. You can see I have one of those reflective barriers hanging in the back there, and then I actually hung one on this door over here because I couldn't get that door to close all the way, and that seemed to work. That seemed to keep the temperature up inside. You can see the stovepipe running up to the top there, and on top of that, outside I took a silicone baking pan and I cut a hole in that to keep, if rain comes down, to keep that from going through the little gap there. Just finished my steak, and the stove did an excellent job of cooking it through well. You can see my breath there, and I'm trying not to breathe over the camera, but it just carries through. It's got to be 0 degrees outside, or I saw on my phone it was negative. It said -3. It's got to be close to 0. And inside the tent it feels warm when you come in, but the fact that I can still see my breath, maybe it's 30 degrees, 35, I don't know, but the closer I get to the stove, it gets much warmer. And I'm guessing like above the stove it's probably 70 degrees. You can really feel the difference 3 feet away, and everything around the stove is warm from that radiant heat. It would be nice to get one of those heat-powered fans that you can set on a wood stove to move that air and cycle it through the whole tent. One thing I realized is that this stove pulls air from inside the tent, through the air intake in the front, and uses that to burn and go up the chimney. And I realized it's like running the bathroom fan in your home, so to speak, where it's just pulling the warm air out. I think if in a situation where I wasn't limited to what I could bring, I'd probably bring along some duct work, to run from the outside straight to the air intake. But there comes a point where it's like, I have enough gear I need to haul around, and I don't want to have any more gear with me, just for ease of setup and takedown and mobility. I'm getting about, I think, 1.5 to 2.5 hours of burn time when I load this thing up. Not a whole lot, but that works out fine. Alright, here we are in the morning, -3 outside. The snow's melted around the stove. I'm heating up some hot water. The tarp is in good condition, not hot. The stove jack's working well. Remember, you can just use 2 baking sheets bolted together, you know. Don't have to pay for anything fancy. Really happy with this setup. Thanks for watching.